All right, it's that time of year when regular people become bracketeers. This prospect of an upset grinds office productivity to a halt, and people pretend to know what Jaspers, Boilermakers, Utes, and Chanticleers are. And what exactly is a red storm anyway, Tom? March Madness begins tonight with the NCAA play-in games. The tournament makes nearly $1 billion for the NCAA and its schools every year. The TV deal alone is worth $11 billion over 14 years. And despite all that cash, the athletes get paid nothing. All right, well, they get free educations, albeit sometimes of questionable quality, and they get small stipends for food and other basic needs, but there's no compensation for medical care after college or any sort of assistance for later life. But the coaches can make whatever the market will bear. The top 7 hoops coaches all make more than $3.5 million a year, with Duke's Mike Krzyzewski pushing $10 million, and that doesn't include endorsement deals and other revenue streams that they almost all seem to have. So, seems like Tom is champing at the bit here. Tom, should players get paid?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
And I'll tell you why. Because Title IX, Title whatever, there is no mechanism for this to happen because you can't just pay college basketball players or pay college football players. Because then what you're going to have to do is pay college female volleyball players. That's the law of the land. And there's no economic model that would allow that to happen. They would lose, I think the number is $6 billion a year if you paid every student. In concept, it sounds wonderful. However, they are getting a free college education. If you don't want a college education, go do something else. There's no economic system that allows you to pay athletes. So us having the conversation, we could beat our drums and say, oh, come on, that poor kid's going through hell. You can't do it. Dominic, tell me the system.
You were doing so good tonight. You were doing so good.
Tell me how you would do it.
First of all, before I tell him how much he's dead wrong, I want to say hello to his mom who's watching tonight. I also want to say hello to our producer, Erica. Erica's watching and she's in a big way about to deliver
and my mom's name is Erica as well.
Your mom's name is Erica?
Is Erica. But I'd like you to
Hi,
tell
Mom,
me.
Erica.
Tell me
so now let's get to the issue. I was trying to be calm tonight, and I was trying to relax and let you guys dominate the conversation.
Let him go.
Okay.
How would you do it?
Okay.
How would you do it?
Okay. Even if it means you have to pay every athlete on campus, obviously you couldn't pay them the same amounts.
Oh, no, there's more than that you can't differentiate, though.
But Tom, here's the problem I have. Coach Boeheim, and pick any coach you want, they get $5 million a year. Then they get another $2 million from Nike. Then they have their local TV show, and it's all on the backs of that latest kid coming out of the projects in New York City or in any project or wherever the athletes are coming from.
Those are good talking points. Okay. But tell me how you solve the problem.
No. Wait, beyond the talking point.
How are you paying them?
When these kids that are making millions for Syracuse and Duke and everywhere else, when they can't afford beyond their meal card to get something to eat, isn't there something wrong with that?
Okay, so now tell me the poor kid who doesn't play basketball, okay? We should feel different for them. They're not getting a free college education.
Wait, the poor kid is on a scholarship program and receiving a monthly stipend to survive.
But they're not. Again,
and these kids are not receiving $60,000 a year educations. It does not cost an institution $60,000 per athlete to educate those kids.
Again, how would you?
They give them a dorm room. I know this very well, Tom.
No, you don't, Dominic.
They give them a dorm room.
You don't.
And they give them
because you're giving me the talking points.
No,
how do you pay the kids?
I just told you.
No, you didn't.
Okay, I tell you what. How much was the TV contract? How much was the TV contract?
$11 billion over
11 billion over how many years?
14.
How about take $1 billion and divide it up and pay the kids?
How about you read an article on it? If you
I don't have to read an article on it.
Dominic, you do because you're just throwing out.
No, I'm not.
I actually
let
find
Michael
myself
get in.
agreeing with Tom.
Good for you.
But I would say the only thing that's changed over the years is the volume of money. When it was less money, the players still didn't get paid. If we want to talk about, and recently the New York Times had a whole piece on that football player from North Carolina, and the family believes that he's addled and destitute now because of the trauma and the concussions that he took. If you want to set up a fund for medical care for full contact sports, that's one thing. But we see this now in the NBA. New television deals, and the Players Association is saying no to smoothing, and there's going to be billions of dollars there. You can't pay the players. You can't
No,
pay the
no,
players.
Dominic doesn't get 1 point. It sounds
And they have
good.
an
You know what?
opportunity
No.
to then go into the big
Let's
league.
just say the 4 of us agree that
And
they
there's
should be
nothing
paid.
wrong with
The
women's
problem is the
volleyball.
economic system. You can't, and under law you can't.
Okay.
You cannot pay basketball players
okay, but
and not
Tom-
pay the volleyball players. And if
Tom,
you do that,
Tom,
you have no money left.
Isn't it amazing that under the law, everybody else gets paid? Isn't that
No, they
amazing?
Who's everybody else?
The
No,
coaches
the
don't get
students-
paid.
Well, how-
The assistants don't
They're
get
not
paid.
students.
The academic advisor doesn't
That's
get
their
paid.
job.
All right, wait.
Okay, and what do the athletes
You have
do?
a federal
The
law of the
athletes have a
land,
shot.
Dominic.
But
wait.
You'd have to change
Wait,
Title
wait.
IX.
If you sign the biggest blue chip coming out, or whatever you call them, coming out of New York City, am I correct or not, that one athlete can put 30,000 seats in the Carrier
And you
Dome
can't-
on any given
but
game,
you-
and they shouldn't get any money.
Dominic,
They shouldn't get any money.
whether they
Well,
should,
see,
Dominic,
if we go by what
Dominic,
you
stop
guys
for
say,
a second.
if we go by what you guys say, this is why they take money under the table.
Dominic,
this is exactly
Dominic,
why they take
no,
money under the table.
Dominic, stop for a second. Even if they get the money, let's just say under your system,
Okay.
how are you paying them? You're not legally. If you didn't,
Give them a stipend. Give them
you're
a
not,
quarterly
the
stipend.
federal law doesn't allow you to do it.
Let's. What if we change the federal law and got them an exemption
Right.
for if you're getting an outside revenue stream for the game, if it's televised, why can't you
Why
split the
can't
proceeds
you?
of that with
Because-
an exemption
because-
for Title
Because then
IX?
you're not
Because-
making judgments between basketball and softball and volleyball and
the
hockey
women-
and football.
And
You can't
and
do
you
it.
think women are now going to allow that? They're going to say, well, you're giving a stipend for them, but you're not giving it because
Well,
volleyball's
okay,
on TV.
But you give a stipend to them as well.
You
Then
can't.
you're in a $6 billion hole. Read the study, Dominic.
Okay,
There's
all
not
right,
enough
okay.
money there.
Well, and we both know for every study you can point to, I can point to a study showing exactly the opposite.
Dominic, I'm not. I didn't do the study. This is an independent study that just ran the numbers and said you can't pay the athletes.
They
weren't taking a position.
Nor should you pay the athletes.
Tom,
To your
Tom.
point earlier, Dominic,
This is
you
why we have
should
problems
be
in this
paying
country.
Tom,
You're just going on your personal
No,
feeling and not
no,
the facts of
Tom,
this.
Tom,
It doesn't.
These kids spend their entire lives building up their ability. Let's face it, they're really athletes and not students. And to get to the college level, and they fill these stadiums. Coach K at Duke, look at his program. $10 million a year for the coach.
Yeah.
$10 million just for his salary.
And if you
and
can't,
Nike probably
and
give him another $5.
And if he didn't take a dime, you can't give the kids any money without spreading it to every kid
You
across
can
the
give them
college.
stipends.
No, you
These kids, Andrew, these
Dominic,
kids.
I don't know where
these
you
kids,
make this stuff up to give them a stipend.
These kids can't even, some of them, can't even call
That's
home.
besides
They
the
can't
point.
call the housing
That-
projects to call and talk to their families.
I'm with Dominic.
Come
I'm with
on.
Dominic on this one. If you
on.
the
You're
game-
with him? How
if
are you with him?
Let's get an exemption to Title IX for
You know, you
revenue-
go lead the
Hang-
charge
hang
to
on,
do
now
that.
let- now let me- I've
we,
let-
like I said, we can
Tom,
agree.
I've
but
let the two of you talk this entire second. Let me. All right. If you're getting an outside revenue stream from the game, you get an exemption to share that revenue stream with the players who generated the money. There are
Dominic,
plenty.
they
There are
will
plenty of
never-
women. There are
Dominic,
plenty of
that
women's
is-
basketball.
Dominic, we
Dominic
have
is over
Title
here.
IX. We have Title IX. The women's lobby will go berserk over
there
that
are plenty
one.
of women's basketball games that are televised. There will be other women's sports that will be
Oh, yeah,
televised
about
to
the,
generate
what
the
about the
revenue
women's
stream.
swimming team? What about the women's softball team? Which across,
Tom,
but then they're going to go. Wait a
There's a lot
second.
of men's swimming meets
Tom,
that are
so you don't
televised.
have a problem. You don't have
When's
a
the
problem.
last time you saw a men's swimming meet
I haven't,
televised?
which is why that
Tom,
wouldn't
I
be
haven't.
subsidized.
Tom, so you don't have a problem with Coach K making $10 million a year?
No.
That the market bears
So,
it?
okay, so wait. So why should he make $10 million? What great?
Because the
he's-
market-
he-
because the
he's such a
market-
great coach
because the
that he
market-
warrants. No, he went and got the latest buck
Because-
coming out of the
because-
housing projects
be-
to be on this
Oh,
team.
come
this is
on.
That's
cheap.
what
That
happened.
would be a ridiculous
So wait, so you
Dominic,
gonna-
this is
so wait,
ridiculous.
Okay,
Wait,
hold on.
this is
So-
insulting talking points.
Hold on.
They
So,
really
so
are.
you're going to tell me that they don't go to the projects all over the country to find the best
And
basketball
what does
players?
that have to do with your thought?
That has to do with these kids are poor. These kids have nothing.
They're getting a free college education that because the
Whoop-de-doo.
oh whoop-de-doo, the vast majority of them don't do anything going on in life without a college education.
We agree
so
on
maybe,
that point. We agree on that
so
point.
maybe they should take their 4-year college education from Duke and turn it into a job on Wall Street.
And maybe Coach K should share some of that $10 million.
One thing has nothing to do with it.
What
All right,
what do you
Yeah,
assert?
so you guys know, you guys
this
are
close
sitting
to
here
being
talking
out.
this nonsense from your
What?
towers I mean, come on, these
right.
kids,
I hear
these kids
music.
gotta live.
I
These
gotta-
kids gotta live.
I
Bottom
got
line.
to move on. We're going to take a break. This is also the subject of our second online question for you at home. Should NCAA athletes be paid, and if so, how? Head to Facebook or Twitter, or just yell it loud at the TV and talk over Dominic and Tom and make your opinion noted. Excuse me. Up next, insert shock joke here. Congressman Aaron Schock, he of the Downton Abbey office and other niceties, set to resign. Was anyone surprised? And expanding the voter pool, one new law auto registers anyone allowed to operate an auto. Another bill expands voting to 16-year-olds. Should they all be franchise players? Talk of the Table is next.